What's up, guys? Alina Isaac here from the Champagne Room, here to talk about Illinois' draw for the NCAA tournament. Send your comments, thoughts, everything. What do you think? What do you think of the Illini's draw? We get to battle Penn in the first matchup. We get to take on the Penn Quackers. 21 and a half points is what the line opened up at. And Penn, obviously super hot. They just won the Ivy League tournament. And I think they've won 9 or 10 games in a row. TJ Power, former Duke commit, went off for 44 points, 14 rebounds. Luckily for Illinois, this guy plays forward and not guard, because that would have been stressful all week to have nightmares about. The line's currently at 24 and a half now. So the bettors clearly are favoring Illinois. Send in your comments, send in your thoughts. What do you think of the Illinois draw? All righty. Let's get into some Quaker talk, some Penn Quaker talk. Illinois, obviously a big favorite. And I think that brings a lot of pressure. I'm hoping that this team doesn't feel that pressure because they haven't been a part of teams in the past. So I think as fans, we feel a lot of that pressure, right? And I'm sure the coaches feel that pressure, but hopefully these players, considering most of them are brand new, they don't feel as much of that pressure. So we play Thursday. I like that, playing Thursday night. So we get to enjoy the whole first day of games and not have to worry about being upset or something like that. I'm a little more on the pessimistic side, but Thursday at 8:25. 8:25 is the tip-off. Illinois and Penn, and then North Carolina and VCU are the other game in your little pod. So a lot of storylines if we end up playing North Carolina in the next round. But yeah, let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts. I'll get to some comments and thoughts. Feels like we got a pretty solid draw, all things considering, and considering some of the other seeds. Like if I pull up the bracket here, Virginia has Wright State and then Tennessee, which I would take our draw over that. I mean, we already beat Tennessee, but they've been playing a lot better basketball since Illinois beat them. Let's see. Gonzaga got Kennesaw State, and then, yeah, BYU, who I did not want to play, and then Michigan State has to play Louisville. Mikel Brown for Louisville, I think, might be not playing or not at 100%. So Michigan State might get a break there, but still, I would take Caleb Wilson less North Carolina out of any of these draws. And VCU is not bad. I mean, the line is only 2.5. So North Carolina is only favored by 2.5 over VCU. And I'm not trying to, write off anybody. I'm not trying to write off the Penn Quakers, but I like this draw for a 3 seed. Unfortunately, you lost the St. Louis seed. You lost the St. Louis placement. You lost the 2 seed. But this isn't the worst case scenario. Now, if you look on further down the road, the fact that Houston's your 2 seed, that's not ideal. But again, you have to play some tough teams eventually. Now I'm interested what a Penn Quaker is. So it is actually not a duck. It is like a musketeer guy or something. So the Penn Quakers are not ducks, which would make sense because it's not Quacker. But fun fact for you there. Now, going back to the matchups here, we have the Penn Quakers, the 14 seed in the South region. Again, they are on a heater. They won the Ivy League on crazy game. They had to hit Power had to hit a buzzer beater 3 to send it to overtime, and then they took over in overtime. So I think this happens a lot when a mid-major team goes on a run and wins their conference tournament and has a guy that goes off. I remember when Illinois played Chattanooga, which granted Chattanooga probably should have beat us. And Smith, I forget his first name. If somebody remembers, let me know in the chat. Chattanooga had a guard that really took over. I think he was at Ohio State or he ended up transferring. He ended up transferring somewhere good, but people were on them all week because I'm pretty sure they had won their conference tournament. Feels a little bit similar with Penn. Now, Penn wouldn't have been in the tournament, which a lot of these mid-major teams wouldn't. But props to them. They won when it mattered, and Fran is taking another team to the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, that's another storyline I didn't even think of. Fran McCaffrey and Brad Underwood. Then if you win and North Carolina wins, you literally have a 2005 rematch in North Carolina's backyard. So, but again, can't complain about the draw. Like, you got a lot on your side. Alrighty. If they get to the Sweet 16, they get to play Houston in Houston. Seems fair. Yeah. So if North Carolina wins, you would play North Carolina in their backyard, South Carolina. And then you would play Houston in Houston, which I was learning about this the other day. So somehow, and I got to give Trevor Valise from the Field of 68 credit for this. So somehow, since Houston is not actually hosting the region, like Rice, the University of Rice is hosting it, so they can play there. So it would be like if somehow Bloomington, Illinois, got to host a regional and Illinois State hosted it, so Illinois could actually end up playing there. That's basically what it would be like. Mark says we should smoke Penn. I agree. We should smoke Penn, Mark. That sounded like a drug paraphernalia thing, but I promise it wasn't. We, the Penn Quakers, not the Penn Quackers. They're not ducks. All righty. Moving on. Yeah, so this, it feels like it's going to be a similar discussion to Morehead State a couple years ago. Now that Illinois team was obviously on a heater because you'd won the Big Ten tournament. But 3 seed versus a 14 seed. Morehead State had a big white dude. I can't remember his name, but they started off 9-0. They hit their first 3 threes. Now, if I had to guess, if I had to put my money on it, and let me know what you think, does Illinois come out and dominate Penn, or do they make it close? They've played really well against teams they're big favorites against all year. And that's one thing you got to give this team credit for. As inconsistent as they've been, really the second half of the season, they haven't had a terrible loss. I don't know if they've had a loss outside of quad 1. And so if Illinois does make this a game and allow Penn to hang around, that would be the outlier. And that's me being objective, which normally I struggle to be objective as an Illinois fan. But it would be more in the norm for Illinois to come out and cover this spread or close to cover this spread. So 20, like I said, it's up to 24.5 points now. Over 148.5. That's juicy, which unfortunately for you Illinois livers, you can't bet on Illinois, unfortunately. So that doesn't really matter to you. Penn is really coming in with a lot of momentum. TJ Power. And then they have a guard that's solid too. I'd have to look up his name. Let's look up the Penn Quackers. And this is going to be really bad if they beat us. And I've been calling them the Quackers the whole time. They beat Yale, the Yale Bulldogs. And Levine is the other dude. Levine is the guard. So he had 9 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. He's averaging 8 points, 3 rebounds, 3.9 assists. Let's see. TJ Power had 44 points. Cam Thrower, what is he? Another guard. 5 points. Okay. So, man, they really just went on a heater. 38 minutes. Forward. So it was really power and nobody else. Kind of like our game with Keaton against Purdue, which I don't know how Purdue won the Big Ten tournament. That was unreal. I haven't seen, I'm sure there's been examples of that recently, but that was crazy. So yeah, if I had to guess, I would say Illinois covers that spread, but maybe scary at first. I like that Kylan apparently was having a team meeting today. Maybe that's what they need. Who knows? It's never a great sign when it's March and you're having those types of conversations, but here we are. So this is what we're looking at currently. Alrighty. So surprisingly, Houston is a 24.5-point favorite over the 15 seed Idaho. Let's see. Yeah, so Penn is going to be confident. Fran has been to the tournament, which I don't love. That I think that helps them a lot that they have a coach that is experienced. He's coached in the Big Ten. He's coached in the NCAA tournament. But again, you have no reason to make this a close game. You should be able to out athlete them. I mean, you saw in so many games this year, eventually you're able to turn, even as recently as Oregon, when you have not been playing well, but eventually it was just like your bodies just took over that game and your skill in size just took over that game. Now again, against teams that are super athletic, that like Michigan, which Michigan does that to everybody, but even Wisconsin's guards, it was like your length didn't matter. But hopefully it's a team. I don't think they have anybody over 6'9", so that should definitely be helpful. All righty. Let's see. Yeah, can't let Penn hang around. That would definitely be bad for Illinois. Penn slows the game down. They hit a lot of threes. I believe they're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. And Illinois usually defends the three pretty well. Let's see. As a team, they shoot over 38% from three. Which is pretty good. But I think from 2-point percentage, they're not that great. So keep them out of the paint. Hopefully they're not hitting a bunch of threes. If we can get this feels like a big Andre Stojakovic, because Penn should not be able to stay in front of him, hopefully. And he should be able to get to the rim at will. And if you're not shooting the three ball well, like you haven't been recently, then you're going to need something like that. Or hopefully Keaton a lot of times this year was able to take over and kind of control the game. I know he's been on a little cold streak recently, but hopefully this can get him out of that slump. If Illinois hits shots early, what I would really love to see is Illinois step on the throat early, go up 15 or 20, and then hang on to that, which they haven't been able to do. So I hope it turns into a blowout, but you got to give Penn credit. Then again, they were the 4 seed in the Ivy League. They had no chance of making the tournament without winning their conference tournament. So you really have no business with this being a close game. Yeah, I think Penn's best chance is doing like a minor form of Wisconsin did, and what Wisconsin did yesterday against Michigan somehow and went nuclear from 3. Pretty sure that was Wisconsin's first loss with hitting 16 plus threes too. Anyways, don't let Penn hit a bunch of threes against you, because if they start doing that too, then that's going to draw you out and they're going to be able to get into the paint. So that's how they're going to keep it close. That's how they're going to potentially upset you. They're going to need to play a really, really clean game. Don't let them get sloppy, get in your head. Don't let this turn into a Chattanooga game from a few years ago. Let's see. But if Penn does shoot the ball super well and you get tight, it's not going to be a fun sight because Illinois fans are going to start to cramp up and Penn's going to get excited. Kind of like Maryland a couple weeks ago. Granted, you're able to close that game. Maryland hit a lot of threes that they probably shouldn't have. Hit a lot of tough twos that they shouldn't have, and they were able to hang around. But let's hope that it doesn't get that. Let's hope our depth can stand up this time against a team that's smaller than you physically and less talented than you. I think if you can just get a solid game, just maybe this is a get right game for Tommy, right? Like I know Keaton's probably going to play well. I know right now I think Kylan's going to play well. Ben's going to play defense. Jake's going to hit a couple threes. They really get I know Merck's probably going to play well. And then you just need like one or two more of those guys. And then at that point, you just have the depth, you have the numbers to be able to beat a team like Penn. So, and then again, not letting your foot off the gas because that has been completely embarrassing. Is blowing those big leads. I feel a little bit better after the Wisconsin game the other day. Not amazing, but here we are. Now moving into your potential second round matchup against North Carolina and VCU. The Tar Heels obviously have the backstory with Illinois, rematch of 2005. They are Caleb Wilson is good enough. That would be like 2 or 3 of our players getting hurt, I think. Like if Keaton got hurt, Kylan got hurt, and Jake Davis got hurt, would probably be like how much we would drop off. That's how much North Carolina dropped off. Somehow they still beat Duke, I think, without him a few weeks ago. But they have not been playing their best ball recently. So that'll be interesting thought. VCU is playing really hot. They won their conference tournament. Would you rather play VCU or would you rather play North Carolina? I think this is obviously a tougher match than when you were able to play Duquesne a few years ago. But would you rather play North Carolina or VCU? Let me know in the comments. VCU, the hotter mid-major team who wouldn't have been in the tournament, according to the commissioner, if they didn't win their conference. Or North Carolina, who has studs. Trimble's a stud. Visar, their big guy's a stud. But they have not been the same without Caleb Wilson. Ben, I agree. One game at a time. Kylan said this in one of his media scrums this evening, and I agree. It sounds simple, and that's something that Brett Bielema says all the time, and the football guys say all the time. And I love Brett Bielema's idioms, or I don't know, idioms, mottos, things that he lives on. And one game at a time, go 1-0 each week. Tough, smart, dependable, those sort of things. I like the mindset. Just go out, do what you need to do for Penn, and then who's ever sitting there a couple days later, there you are. It's gonna be a late game, especially for us Eastern time people. Getting a pretty late tip on Thursday night. Let me know your comments in here if you're just joining us. This is Champagne Room Recap Live. After we found out Illinois' draw in the NCAA tournament, I'm Illini Isaac. Just breaking down what some potential matchups and things could be. But yeah, VCU, they play a little bit more of a chaotic style of basketball. They have some guards, solid guards. They can hit some threes, play pressure defense. And then we'll see with North Carolina if they're able to get there. What that looks like. One thing I do like about this Illinois team is until recently, they really have been good about not turning the ball over. And I think that goes a long way when teams are trying to upset you and things like that. Let's see. Just watching a little bit of Penn highlights from earlier. Let's see. That's Yale. Let's see, Penn. This is that power guy. Okay. Wow, that was pretty nice. Steps into a 3. Okay. Dang, so they came out pretty hot there against Yale today. Then let's take a look at that last second shot because that was amazing. TJ Power. Here we go. Hopefully they got their March Magic out of the way. Dang, that was nice. Man, there's nobody there. Good for them. Now the Tar Heels. Oh, Caleb Wilson did play. So they beat Duke a few weeks ago, but Caleb Wilson played. This is Tremble. He's their best player without Wilson. A lot of Duke highlights, that's for sure. Tremble, pick and roll with Visar up top. So, yeah, that's scary that they have a guard like that could put up a fight against you. I don't love that. Let's see. Here's that pick and roll I was talking about. Kind of similar to what Wisconsin was doing with Rapp and Boyd. I will say, I think you got the favorable matchup as far as 1 seeds because Michigan, I don't think we had much of a chance against. And then Arizona is just playing crazy hot right now. Jaden Bradley's a stud. And Duke's injured, so I would maybe take that. Man, these are all Caleb Wilson highlights. Okay, so they got some shooters. What does North Carolina shoot the ball? North Carolina on the season. Caleb Wilson, look at this. If this doesn't tell you what North Carolina is, he literally leads the team in every statistical category, and he hasn't even played in like a month. That's crazy. Visar, I was right. As a team, they shoot 34.5% from 3. Tremble's 28.5. Visar's 42. So yeah, they definitely have some studs. They just haven't been playing as well. And then VCU, stats wise, they are 36, almost 36.5%. Terrence Hill is their leading scorer. He's averaging over 14 points a game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 6'3", 6'11". Okay, so VCU's got some height. Yeah, these will be interesting games, interesting matchups for Illinois. I just really want to see us come out with fire. We came out with it a little bit against Wisconsin, but I really want to see that. If you can't get up for March, then I don't know what you're going to possibly get up for. I really want to see Illinois' guards stay calm, just run the offense, the NBA style offense that Tyler Underwood runs, and just do our thing. It felt like against Wisconsin, and I know a lot of times we get up 10 or 15 and then we just start chucking threes and like getting out of rhythm. So I don't care if you're playing VCU, North Carolina, Penn, the Detroit Pistons, like just stay calm, cool, and collected, do your thing, and don't get ahead of yourself. North Carolina would be big and physical. That would be one thing I would be concerned about when we do play them. I imagine Illinois would be favored by a couple points. And then against VCU, I think it would be favored by a couple points too. We should own the glass against Penn and against VCU. But then again, I thought we should have owned the glass against Wisconsin. Yeah. So I like the matchup. If we're looking later on down the road, if we were to get Houston or St. Mary's, I imagine Houston would easily take that game. Houston would be tough, but eventually you're going to have to beat a tough team. And they should easily walk into the Sweet 16 where they would play you. No, let's see. You would play Houston in the Sweet 16. And then the Elite 8, you would play Florida probably. Nebraska's got an interesting draw there with Troy. They're 13.5-point favorites. Man, if they can't win this year, I don't know when they're going to win. But Flemings is obviously a stud for Houston. They still have Sharp. They have a handful of guys from that team. And, man, that's another Illinois storyline with Kelvin Sampson, who I know Illinois fans love. And I know Bruce Pearl was on the broadcast earlier saying he was rooting for Houston. But again, I'm hoping if Purdue can turn things around and win the Big Ten tournament after playing as poorly as they did to end the season, then there's no reason why Illinois can't come out and play some of their best basketball here in the NCAA tournament. And that I'm pretty confident about. So you got till Thursday night to get that figured out. Yeah, it's fun. It's March. I hope we can be a player. I hope we can play our best basketball. Let me know your comments, thoughts, everything. Just going to wrap up here in a few minutes. Wanted to come on here and look at Penn, look at VCU, look at North Carolina. Yes, you are playing in South Carolina, in North Carolina's backyard. But last year, I think you got to play in Milwaukee after being a 6 seed, which is pretty good. Pretty good draw. Yeah, let me know. Would you rather play North Carolina, who's a blue blood, who has the talent of a blue blood, or would you rather play VCU, who's hot, one of the hottest teams in the country, and is probably going to be scrappy and be all over you? I think I would rather play North Carolina. Without their best player, like, who knows if they're going to really want to be there, if they're going to have that bite. I don't know. And really, since they went to the national championship a few years ago, they haven't been much of a threat in the tournament. So I think 3 keys to winning the game, the first game against Penn: play composed, come out on fire, don't let Penn hang around and get a lead, and then just attack the paint. That's one thing you've been doing well, actually, in these losses, is getting to the rim. But Penn doesn't have the size to keep up with you. So those are my 3 keys. Stay composed. Don't let them hang around, and really just get to the paint. Then if you play North Carolina, VCU, you have the skill. You have way more depth than them. Against VCU, you got to dominate the glass and then just hit threes, I think, and then you should be good. North Carolina, I think you just got to play better defense, which North Carolina has been like a sub 40 team, I think, without Caleb Wilson, and your record against sub 40 teams has actually been pretty good. You have no excuse to not get to the Sweet 16 at this point. And I know that's saying a lot, because Illinois doesn't have a ton of experience getting past the first weekend, but really, this is a great matchup. I think this is the best matchup Illinois could have gotten. Looking at the other 3 seeds, yes, you have to play North Carolina in their backyard. North Carolina is beat up. If they even beat VCU, you get a Penn team who is the 4 seed in the Ivy League. Now, again, Illinois is not playing their best basketball, but I think they just got the best draw that they could have. If they're going to be a 3 seed, you have no excuse to not make the second weekend. ILL. Got one comment here. Yeah, North Carolina and Houston would be an Illini revenge tour. It does feel like a lot. Maybe Illinois just has a lot of beef with a lot of teams because it feels like every year there's some sort of beef or thing to draw from. Like if the IO Kofi team would have won, they would have played Brad's former school, Oklahoma State. And then obviously Kentucky last year, which is fun. Who knows? Yeah, we might get we might get a national championship rematch. We might get Houston revenge game. We might get, let's see, Florida. I don't know if we have beef with Florida, but we have the best corn. This bracket has unreal corn. Let me just say that. This region, you have Illinois, the best corn, obviously, in the Midwest. You have the Nebraska Corn Huskers, one of the best corns in the Midwest. I don't really know anything about corn, but and then Iowa's got great corn too. So the best corn, great bracket. I think it's probably as good as you could have gotten in the region. And let's just hope we can pull this one out. So one win, I think, would go a long way. Let's not let them hang around. And thanks everybody that sent some comments in here and hung around. And we'll look forward to doing a live chat probably Thursday night after the game. So ILL.